You've talked a lot in the campaign about being relatively new to politics. What makes you think you've got the necessary skills and experience to be the deputy leader?
So I am new to politics. I only realised that politics was a useful way to make change when I was 21. Before then, I thought what a lot of people did, what a lot of people still think, I imagine, which is you vote for one party, they get in, they do some things, maybe they don't, the other party criticises them, and then sometimes they switch positions. And that's just the inevitability of politics in the UK. I think that politics at its heart is about people working together and people wanting to do good and make good things and make society work for everyone. So I genuinely think that motivation enough and caring enough is what it takes to be a good politician. I think having self-discipline, like being able to admit where you're wrong and admit where you need to know more and learn more, is really important. And I think having a political figure that isn't afraid to sometimes say, oh, I got that wrong there, I think that's really important for the public to see, to have faith in politics again. Because at the end of the day, if we want people to vote for us, they need to know that we're people and not this far off distant establishment that decides how their life should be.
Is the Green Party a party of the left?
We are obviously a party of the left. In policy, it's obvious that we are left wing. I just think it's important that we make sure the messaging we're putting out there remembers that people that vote Conservative and vote Labour aren't the same as people that are members of those parties. A lot of people are undecided when it comes to each election. They can swing either side each election. I remember seeing a Victoria Derbyshire episode where there were people in the room that weren't sure whether they were going to vote Labour or Conservative. I didn't think it was possible to consider two options that I see as so very different from each other. So I think it's really important that we are left wing, and that's true, but I think we need to get our messaging right to make sure that we're communicating in a way where people aren't turning away already, because we have amazing policies that most people will support. We've seen it in that blind study that we all have to reference, that on policy the Green Party would win. We have the policy that is great. We just have to make sure we get to the point where people are willing to listen to it. So taking any steps we can to make sure people don't turn away before we can explain the policy, I think we should definitely be doing in order to make sure we can get votes, get elected, and then actually make those policies happen. I think if we continue to try and appeal just to people that have left Labour or people that already put left and socialist in their Twitter bios, I don't think we're ever going to have the kind of outreach that we need in order to get that electoral success. And our job as the Green, as the political part of the Green movement, is to have that electoral success. We have to chase that.
Do you think the Green Party needs to have a stronger class analysis, and what is your personal analysis of Green politics and class?
Yeah, when it comes to class, I think obviously we are, as far as I know, mostly a middle class group of people within the Green Party as a whole. So the problem we have is that the policies we've written are written by the middle class. So it's difficult to get input from people from the working class. Hopefully our policies are good enough and are addressing the concerns of people who are working class. But we need to make sure we're talking about them. We talk so much about the environment. Not that I don't think the environment is a huge problem too, but if we're only ever talking about the environment, it's just not going to be relevant to you if you're worrying about making it to the end of the week or having to juggle two jobs at once. I think one thing that we could really do to make it better is to make our policy making process more accessible. The fact that you have to come along to conference and that's far away, kind of expensive, is helping to make sure that our policy can be made by everyone. So definitely looking at decentralized systems for how we can get people to engage, and try and have more of like an open discussion and consultation as opposed to closed off working groups where you have to have kind of got involved enough to know where to go for those. I think would make a huge difference. I don't know enough whether our policies are relevant or good enough at the moment to help those communities. So hopefully they are, because then we can reach out to those communities if we talk about them, but we'll see.
And so Sean asks, what will you do to ensure that Greens break through into the Welsh Parliament next May and elect more Green councillors across Wales in 2022?
Yeah, I think I don't know enough of the specifics of how our funding is distributed around the different regions and, well, regions and countries of the party. I have a feeling that Wales is probably very underfunded, and I think the best people that are going to know how we can do better there is speaking to the people there and making sure we fully support them. If they think there's something we should do it, basically. No kind of like, oh, well, maybe not. Like, we have to trust the people there know what they're doing better than we do, because they know the issues locally a lot better than we can. Especially with the majority of the staff team for the Green Party being based around London, in London, and just outside of London. We know how huge it is to get a Green in the room. We know how it can change so much about the way people talk about policies. So I think it's definitely something that we should be focusing on. Arguably, it could be more significant than getting a second MP in Parliament, to be able to get one person in there. It is difficult to get people mobilised on the ground to Wales, as it is on the edge of the country, and to my understanding, the transport links aren't amazing. I think we should look at how we, especially with kind of the recent pandemic, how we can make sure we can get people digitally engaged more. That might be trying to find where we have people that are happy to provide skills, whether that's video editing or writing scripts, and trying to put stuff together so that we can create that material on a more volunteer basis. I think there's definitely a way we could expand digital engagement in campaigning, especially when, you know, if you're based in London, Wales is reasonably far away to travel to, and spending time there to go and then campaign in the day and then travel home, you're probably spending a similar amount of time traveling than you are actually campaigning.
The question is, what will your approach to cooperation with other political parties be if you become deputy leader, and what are your thoughts on electoral alliances?
Yeah, this is definitely one where people disagree. I think we should be trying to cooperate and work with other parties wherever possible, at every opportunity. I think it's how we're going to get elected. There's going to have to be some kind of agreement in order to make that happen under such a difficult system as first past the post. And I think that once we do get elected, at least for the first part, we'll have to work with other parties again in order to get things put through that will make huge changes for the UK. And even when we do eventually get to the point where proportional representation is used in Parliament, we shouldn't expect or particularly want to have a full Green majority, because I think that having collaboration, because in the proportional representation system, we'll still have to be collaborating with other parties. So we should definitely start collaborating now wherever we can. I do want to say on electoral alliances, I don't think we've made particularly good decisions in the past on electoral alliances. Electoral alliances don't have to mean we stand a candidate somewhere, you don't, and then you stand a candidate somewhere and we don't. There are definitely ways that we can work around being able to stand a candidate everywhere, because I think it's really important to give everyone the option to vote Green. It's just working out where, with, for example, the Lib Dems, we can prioritise our resources and say, like, we're going to focus a lot here, and then they can say we're going to focus a lot here. So instead of it being about standing down, it will be about where we're going to focus our resources. That's all I have to say, really. Collaboration is really important, and I think it's the kind of politics we want to see in our communities too. So we should be showing that we want that by demonstrating it in our politics as well.
Before I move on to something else, Nick, I just wanted to really quickly ask if there's anything in that you wanted to come back on at all.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, yes, I also agree that local parties at the end of the day should have that decision making. I think that the policy we have based around decentralizing politics is one of our strongest policies, and it reaches into so many different things, including, like, for example, UBI is effectively us saying, you know better how you could spend this money than we do. Like, and also when we're talking about giving money to local councils, they know better their area than anyone else, so they would know how to spend it best. I think that definitely the decision will be down to those local parties to make those decisions. But at the same time, I want to, as deputy leader, be there trying to get those offers for them. I want to be doing the work and approaching other parties to say, is there something we can work out here? It might be we go and find something and we go, we think this is kind of good. What do you guys think? And they reject it. That's totally fine. I'm very happy if that happens. I don't have a problem. I may have like a suggestion of like, I think this is maybe good, but the people in the local community will certainly know better.
So the first of these two is how can the Green Party best attract Labour voters disillusioned by Keir Starmer's leadership?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem we have is we do talk about the environment, and I think if we talk about social justice a lot more and kind of get the message out there, then there are people that will be reminded that we are a great option for delivering social justice, where Labour is moving away from having such good policy on that. I think generally I would prefer to try and reach out to people like climate strikers instead of trying to get people who are on the left of Labour, because I think that it would be more useful in terms of getting our success overall. But I think a lot of members will happen to kind of naturally move over anyway to join us, because my perspective is that Keir Starmer is just, moving them away, and people come to their own terms that it's not the place for them.
I want you to, and this is like the fun bit at the end of the news, about like a giraffe that's lost its like beach ball or whatever. So the question is relatively straightforward. What's the thing you've done in your life that you're most proud of, and why?
I think the most proud thing I did was 4 years ago, I think, I decided to go vegan. Before, I didn't really know much about our impact on the environment or anything like that. And taking that on myself to say, I can make a change and I can do it. And it's taught me so much about ethics as well, not just originally I was brought in by the environment, but now learning about the ethics behind it as well has really helped shape my understanding of philosophy, which I apply to all of my politics now.
Thanks, Nick, and very timely.